Hey, yo. Alright. What up? What up? Welcome back. I'm back. Here on the checkerboard floor. The podcast that takes history, dissects it, and rips it apart. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm over 200 views right now. My subscribers, I need y'all to jump that up for me. So if you like my channel, you like the content that I'm putting out, can you please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification, and it'll let you know when I'm going to put out a new video. So I see a lot of people now, a lot of people over on Twitter or the new X, they're really engaging. You know, they're letting me know they're watching this and that. But here on YouTube, I need subscribers to subscribe. You know, just help me out. Help your boy out a little bit. So I've been around. I've been just chilling, doing a whole bunch of nothing if I can. I don't know how everybody else is doing out there. Lately, things have been going pretty good. Just out and about. And I know I want to talk about. I've been getting some messaging. Okay, I've been getting a lot of messaging from people. They're asking me, why am I still talking about racial issues? Okay. It's like they want me to stop talking about race. One guy, I don't know if that was a guy or a girl, I looked at it real quick. I don't really respond to certain things because certain things just are not worth responding to. You know, some people, he said or she said that, why are you talking about race when we're on the verge of World War III? Okay. What that tells me is whoever that is, they want me to forget about what happened to my people. They want me to forget what happened and deal with what obviously their people are going through, or somebody that they're caping for is going through. That war against Russia and Ukraine has nothing to do with me. The war against the Jews in Israel and the war that they're going through has nothing to do with me. But I can tell you one thing. But all of those groups, they all get on code with each other when it's time to be against black racism. When it's time for anti-black racism, all of those groups come together and they get on code and they go against us. So to ask me to stop, or why am I talking about racial issues? And he also said, because we're about to come together. I don't understand what he's talking about. As a collective now, on a local level, we already are together. We're together. I have nothing against white people, Asian people, Mexican people. I have nothing against them. When I talk about history, that's what I'm doing. I'm talking about history. I'm not saying this to be racist or go against anybody. These are things that happen and I'm just exposing them. I'm trying to give you some type of clarification on where we are as foundational black Americans, or as black people here in America, where we are globally as black people, our mental, our businesses, we own nothing. And a lot of people look at us and say, well, they're just lazy, or or their IQ. I've heard that. Our IQ is just below average or below normal, or what else have I heard? Or black people are just prone to be at the lower level, or, you know, you just hear these things and hear these things. No, we've been systematically engineered into fault. We've been systematically engineered into this low-level monopoly game. I said this before. Clyde Anderson has said this before. Nothing to black people has happened to us by chance. It's all been engineered just because we were born a certain color. That's it. That's all there is. So I take history and I expose it. I take history and I bring it to light. I let you know that this is why this is going on, so you can move different. So you can, when things happen, you don't think with emotion, you think with logic. Oh, I understand why he said that. Oh, I understand why they're not giving me this. Oh, I understand why he's looking at me this way. I understand why these certain things are going on. You start thinking different and you move different at that point. You're not saying to yourself, well, oh, that motherfucker said something to me, and you going crazy with emotion, and just now the police come and he's acting a fool and you acting a fool, and then you get shot or you go to jail or this. I teach you to think on a level headed. This is why they're treating you like this, man. When they pull you over or they say something negative to you or they looking at you crazy or they're acting this way, they're looking at you because it's been engineered that way. Children, they're doing a test of giving children this book of people. And it's a light skin white, or it's white all the way to a dark skin black. And, you know, a few people in between. And they're asking the children, which one is the bad guy? So a lot of the kids are pointing towards the black guy. Which one is the good guy? A lot of kids are pointing towards the white guy. These are children. So they had to have learned this somewhere. There has to be some type of engineering. There has to be some type of system that's teaching them that. Because they didn't just come out the womb thinking like that. There has to be the television shows, the music, the ratchetness that they see, the things that their parents are talking about at home. When they're driving down the street, they see somebody doing something crazy on the street corner or whatnot. They're being engineered to see that, to think when they see this book of these different shades of people, this is the bad person, this is the good person. They weren't born like that. It's an engineering of this entire society. So when I do what I do, I'm teaching you how to think. I'm teaching you how to move. I'm teaching you how to maneuver through this supremacist, white supremacist system. Not be against anyone, not go storm the Capitol building like some do, not war against each other like some do. These aren't our people doing that. So I'm giving you a historical insight of where we are. That's it. Not against race. I'm not trying to be racist. I'm not trying to be talking about harming anyone or doing anything faulty. I'm just giving you history. And that's what it is. So with those comments telling me not to talk, why am I talking about race when we're on the verge of war, and why I do this and do this and do that, takes me into what I want to talk about today. Okay. I want to talk about the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots, where a town in Greenwood called the Black Wall Street was destroyed. So here we go. I'm going to take history again, put it in their face, and show you how we are where we are through a white supremacist system. It's the only way to fix that. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. We have to bring this white supremacy system to justice. Once that happens, once we get justice, then I'll stop talking about it. So as long as you see me talking about it, obviously we're still in that system. So the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots. And what got me talking about this, I was talking to my mom one day, and we was discussing things about, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I was asking her, does she know about it? She told me she knew a little bit about it, but I was just trying to explain to her and let her know, what went down. And because a lot of people come from Oklahoma, actually. You talk to people, where you from? Man, I'm from Oklahoma. This is white or black. And the reason for that is because in Oklahoma, there was a land grab. They opened up a historical land grab. That was in 1889. on April 22nd, they put out a land grab for you to, they told the president in the Congress, we need to open up this territory to it's open territory. This will let a lot of the immigrants that are here and the people that are already here, you get land. So 1889, a lot of black people were free at this particular time. So they got a lot of the land too. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't just white people getting the land. So it was a Homestead Act. And when they did that in April 22nd, over 2 million acres were given away in one day. So when you go back to the Midwest and you see all of that land ownership and people got land, they didn't pay for that. It was a land grab that was given to them. Once again, black people had the opportunity also. Well, why don't a lot of blacks own a lot of that land now? I'm going to tell you. In Greenwood, there was a migration there, and they opened up the land, and like I said, a lot of black people got the land too, and they started a town in Greenwood, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And people were coinciding with each other. They were working together. They opened up businesses. They had the businesses going. There was a certain section, a north side and a south side, where whites worked and whites lived and blacks lived. So the blacks could only go there to work. They couldn't live there. So they had to work there, and they brought their money back to their segregated section. So coming back to your own section, you had to really establish ownership there. They started their own, the first store was a grocery store in Greenwood. So they started that grocery store, and that was in 1905 when they started doing big business, because a lot of people started coming to Tulsa because of this oil rush that was going on. It was in 1905, oil was found, and it was the Ida Glen Oil Company that started. And it was a Glen Pool oil reserve that they found. Now, this oil reserve that they found in Tulsa, Oklahoma, really the Osage Nation of Indians lived on top of that oil reserve. And once whites found out they were living on top of a major oil reserve, they started marrying a lot of they had the men marrying a lot of the women there. And then they started killing the Indians at the time. There's a movie about to come out about this called the Killers of the, what is that? Killers of the Moon? Killers of the Night Moon or something like that. A movie's about to come out explaining this with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. This, at that time, they were the richest oil company in the world in Tulsa, Oklahoma at that time. And they're going to portray it, when you see it now, it's being portrayed that the white people owned the oil companies, but that's not true. The Native Americans, the Osage Indians owned the oil companies. They were infiltrated by whites, got in there, married, intermingled, and killed until they owned it all at the end. So, with that said, the black people in Greenwood started their businesses. They started owning. They started bringing to light a lot of stores and doctors, movie theaters, dry cleaners. They had 27 blocks of businesses at that time, and they were doing fairly well. Oh, I want to go back to this. When Oklahoma became a state, okay? Remember, in 1889, they did the land grab. And then people started grabbing land, whites and blacks. So they were intermingling. They were building the railroads together. They were working together. It was some type of camaraderie to work together at that time. But in 1907, once again, they had to say to themselves, how can we take it all? How can we make sure that blacks don't get anything? So the very first bill signed by the Senate in 1907 was the separate coach bill. Okay? It was on December 18th in 1907, the separate coach bill. This was a segregation bill signed by the Senate. The government said that blacks and whites in Tulsa, Oklahoma have to be separated. They said that it was a separate coach bill, that you couldn't ride on certain cars and stuff together, but overall it was a bill to separate everything, because at that point, when they became a state, they became the 46th state, there was no more togetherness on a whole mass. It was more so, you work here, you live here, you can come work for us, but you have to go back to your That's when you started seeing all the Jim Crow signs going up. Whites only. You can only, no bathrooms here for you. And there was nothing for you at this point. Okay? Being that there was nothing for you at this point, you have to have your own. Everyone had to work together. You had to be on code. You had to have your own businesses and put those things together. So they became wealthy. The black section of Tulsa, Oklahoma became the Black Wall Street, was the name of it. It was so wealthy, bringing in so much money, that the banks there were going to start lending money to the oil companies to help them stay afloat during downtime. That's how much money they had. So they were thriving. It was a thriving. It takes me, I'm thinking about something too. You know the Gap Band? The Gap Band. Charlie, Ronnie, and Robert Wilson. The Gap Band, GAP, stands for Greenwood, Archer, and Pine Street. Those were the three streets where all the businesses of Black Wall Street were located. Those guys were from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And when they wrote the song, You Dropped the Bomb on Me, that song, well, Charlie Wilson just came out and he said that he didn't make that song for the bombing of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But I gotta say that that may not be correct. When your name is Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, the names of the Black Wall Street street, and you make a song called You Dropped the Bomb on Me, that's a real strong correlation of maybe that's what it was. But I don't know if he's trying to distance himself from the white supremacist structure, because he has to still depend on them to get concerts and do shows. So he's probably saying that that song didn't have anything to do with it, so he can continue his commercials and keep his businesses going and this and this. And so I get it, but you guys just do the math on that one. Okay? So the Tulsa, Oklahoma was thriving. Everybody was living it up. The stores and restaurants, it was just great. It was really good for black people at that time, being that segregation was the key, the glue to making people stay on code and spin with each other and thrive with each other, give loans, shop with your own doctors and whatnot. We kind of lost that now because they opened up the doors for everyone, and a lot of black folks, we go to where it's convenient. We don't have just those blocks and blocks of stores and supermarkets and everything for you just to go to. You have to go to the dominant society ownership, you know, whether it be Walmart's or shopping on Amazon, or you're just going to where it's convenient now because we don't have anything. But I'm trying to show you how we lost everything. So the Greenwood area was thriving for the black people. It was thriving. It was a good thing. There was a guy named Dick Rowland, or Dick Rawlin. He was 19 years old, and he worked downtown as a shoe shiner. And he was shining shoes for the oil guys, because a lot of guys would drop out of school and just go start making money. But at this time, he was 19, so he would have graduated, or either he dropped out early anyway, so it don't matter. He was shining shoes, and he had to go use the restroom. But the only bathroom was in the Driscoll building, upper floor, I think on the 3rd or 4th floor. That was the only building downtown that blacks could use the restroom at. So he got on the elevator, and there was a lady on the elevator. She was the elevator operator. Her name was Sarah Page. Okay? Sarah Page and Dick Rowland was on the elevator, going up to the restroom, doing what. The story gets kind of muffled and confused, because I don't know if he went up, did his thing, came down, and then it happened, or he got on, the doors closed, and the doors instantly opened, and then it happened. But she started screaming, and he ran off of the elevator. And then it got around that he assaulted her. Once again, they don't say if he hit her, bumped into her. It was rumors that he tried to rape her. Why would you try to rape a woman in an elevator at that segregated time? Why would you even try something like that? It makes no sense. What they're saying is he walked into the elevator, he tripped, bumped into her, and she started screaming. He ran out, and she just started screaming, and then it got around town that she was assaulted. So the white men of Tulsa gathered so they picked up Dick Rawlin and took him to jail. And they took him to jail, and while he was in jail, there was a gathering of white men outside. They wanted to harm him. You know, he so-called assaulted the white girl, so they wanted to do harm to him. It was huge. It was getting around the newspaper. The newspaper wrote an article called Nab the Negro. And the Tribune newspaper nabbed the Negro and put it out there. And once it got, shout out to Dr. Ray Hagins. He coined the phrase, "He who controls the written page controls the thinking of the age." So the Tribune put that out, and once it got out nationally, it was a big deal. Everyone was upset. All white people were upset. In that town, there was war veterans, black men that just came, that were in the war, had their guns. They knew army tactics. They knew how to maneuver, through military means. So they came down. They said, no, we're going to protect him. He didn't do anything to that girl. You guys are just using "I'm white and I say so" premises to harm this person. So they came down with their guns, because they weren't going to let anything happen to Mr. Rawlins. So they get there. The sheriff said, don't worry about it. We're going to protect him. Nothing's going to happen to him. We're going to make sure he's okay. So over time, they left. Right there, they were off code. They should have stayed there in shifts until that kid was protected, or that man was protected. They shouldn't have left, because who didn't leave was the white people that were there. They didn't leave. They stood right there in front of the courthouse, and they did it in shifts. So I would have to say that the black men were off code at that time. They should have stayed there and worked shifts to make sure things were going to be okay. Okay? So they left, and then they realized that nothing's justice isn't being served. These white people are still down there threatening to get them. Now the Ku Klux Klan is coming. They're finna be a part of it, because they were already big throughout Oklahoma anyway. So now they heard about it, and now you seeing them in the town on trucks and cars coming into town. So now the black people have to go back down there, and because it's about to get real if we see them coming. They get there, and an argument breaks out. One of the white guys says something to the black guy, something about, nigger, what you doing with that gun? And he's like, I'm gonna blow somebody's goddamn head off is what I'm doing with it, type of thing. And then they went into it, and then they started arguing, then a shot was fired, and then all hell broke loose. Okay? The police department, the military police department, basically protected all the white people and started getting on code with the white folks. Once again, I'm showing you how we are where we are. They have military backing supporting them. Got on code with them, killed a lot of people. And then they started burning the businesses and looting the black businesses with the harm that they were inflicting. Also, they took the black men, rounded the black men up, not the white man that started all this, and put them in internment camps. They took the black men and put them in internment camps. And while they were in internment camps, there was no one there to protect the businesses and the women and children. So they started burning the buildings and destroying the businesses and taking whatever they can to loot while the men were in internment camps. Once they did that, then planes started showing up. Now, there's different accounts of this, because people said that they were dropping nitroglycerin, kerosene, or bombs, or TNT type bombs. But it doesn't matter. Whatever they were dropping from the planes, that took most of the neighborhoods and buildings out. So, with that said, they destroyed an entire population business of people's businesses in Greenwood, and never repaired them for the damages that they did in Greenwood. It was one of the most thriving cities for black people at that time in the late 1900s, which would have been worth billions, if not trillions today, because they would have took that money that they made, they would have bought other businesses, they would have conducted themselves in e-commerce, they would have conducted themselves in trade, they would have branched from there and really established a stronghold of business ownership around this planet. But they were cut off by the roots. I said this before. Black people's businesses are the only businesses that are being sabotaged. It's been going on since the beginning of this state, beginning of the United States. From taking slave labor to sabotaging labor all the way through. So the Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma situation is just something I wanted to touch on, because I'm starting to get comments now, once again, that people don't want me to talk about this stuff, or why, not really don't want me to talk about it, but why am I talking about it? Because I'm keeping it on your minds. I want you to move different. Date who you want to date. Be who you want to be. Love who you want to love. That's not what I'm giving you. I'm giving you history so you can move from a historical point. So when you're about to make a decision, you'll think, okay, this is how I need to move. So just trying to teach you a different way of thinking from a historical standpoint. I'm not going to be on here too much longer. Just wanted to say thanks for everybody that's checking me out. Like I said, please subscribe, give me a like, and if you have anything you want me to talk about, put it in the comment. I'll address it, Because as soon as you guys get me up to a certain point of subscribers, I'm going to go live. And everybody out there that has something to say, you could just talk to me directly. And we can hash it out, or we, through a conversation, and we can talk about it. We can see where everybody's head is at. Because I would like to know. I need to know where people's heads are at and what people are thinking. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I know this wasn't a long one, but just wanted to touch on that. Something, I don't know what it was that made me want to speak on Tulsa or speak on that, because yeah, I just had to speak on it. All right, y'all. Thanks again. I'll check you out.